another burnout landlord that needed to make the change from being a landlord to being the bank. Stay tuned. Welcome to this week's edition of NoteSchool TV. And we are coming up next week. We're going to have our 5-year anniversary. Yep. We'll have our 5-year anniversary. We have been doing this, Eddie and I, for the last 5 years and have never missed a week. So we're very consistent with that. So thanks for being here today. We have a great guest. Yes, he was a landlord, and yes, he saw the light, and we're going to bring him on in just a second. So if you have any questions about what we do at NoteSchool, simply go to noteschool.com/TV. Again, noteschool.com/TV. So with that, I want to bring on a good friend and a great NoteSchool member, Mr. Jim Tiernan.
How's it going?
It is going great. So how are you?
Good. Happy belated birthday.
Well, thank you. Yes, it was Sunday, and we're not going to share any ages going on here, right? So
you run out of candles. That's
well, we haven't even done the birthday cake yet. I don't know. We went out to eat Sunday night, which was my birthday, and we got home late. And I goes, no, I don't want any chocolate this late. And then last night things, and then so maybe we'll do it tonight. But it's all good. Yeah. So, how are things in Denver?
Things are going good. A little cool today. A little cool and rainy the last few days. Kind of weird, but.
Well, it's been rainy, but not cool in South Florida, Jim. So anyway, so we're glad to have you today. You have been with NoteSchool for a number of years now. I can kind of judge because I know you came in before COVID. So when did you join NoteSchool?
I think it was 2021. Was it during COVID or before? I don't even know.
Yeah. See, that's kind of the way I look at it. So yeah, I get it. Yeah. All right, so let's kind of start here. And so what did you do? What was your pre-NoteSchool life? What did that look like?
Well, I worked for Lockheed Martin for 25 years. I had 6 rentals at the point where I joined NoteSchool.
Yeah.
And I had taken a 7-week class with Jeff Watson and John Cochran about buying Subject 2.
Mm-hmm.
And the last 2 weeks of that class, let's see, week 6 was some crazy guy named Joe Varnador was on. And week 7 was Eddie Speed. And they were talking about once you buy, you can wrap these and resell them and not own it and make cash flow. And I was like, wait, what? Yeah. So I needed to find out more. So I ended up joining NoteSchool.
Well, and hence the tagline or the teaser there, another burnout landlord that saw the light, right?
Yeah.
So you were with Lockheed Martin for many years, and you were ready to retire. And the great thing is that you had the ability to retire as well.
Yeah. I mean, I thought I would take, a month or 2 off and then get another job because I was just kind of tired of that one.
Mm-hmm.
But I still haven't gotten around to that.
Yeah, and it's been a couple of years now, hasn't it?
It's been about almost 2 years, yeah.
So. Yeah, I remember when you texted me and said, "Hey, I'm officially retired." So, so tell us a little bit about how did you get into the rental space? Why did you get into the rental space when you first started buying rental houses?
Just trying to create monthly cash flow, really. Started reading more stuff about listening to podcasts about real estate. And I thought, that sounds like a good way to do, long-term income.
Right.
But in reality, the income that you're supposed to get never quite works out that way. And, I had one rental where I had to put in a new well, and that was 2 years of cash flow gone in an instant. And I thought there's a better way to do this.
Yeah, it's freeing. People look and they go, oh, well, my expenses really, they're just taxes and insurance. And let me tell you something, both taxes and insurance have shot up over the past 2 or 3 years, at the gain that all the properties, pretty much all the properties in the U.S. took after COVID, and the market shot way up as far as how home sales. The tax collectors, they finally realized that, hey, these properties are higher in value, so we can reassess them. And then the same thing, with insurance being more expensive. So, but people kind of look at that and they don't think about all the other pieces, right? The management, and you're absentee on a lot of those. I mean, I know a couple of them in Chicago, right?
Yep, Chicago burbs.
Yeah. So
we have 2 more actually condos here in Denver Metro. And when we bought them, they were like 7 cap properties and our debt was 4%. Well, now those readjusted. Now it's 4% cap rate with a 7% debt. I'm like, this doesn't make sense anymore.
Yes. If we have talked about that on previous shows, and what we know, Jim, is that, the expenses have increased 50% or more, and the income has not kept up with that. It's increased about 20%. So, and it's just exactly what you said. In 2000, even as less than 10 years ago, a property that may have been worth $125 is now worth $125,000 is now worth $250.
Yep.
And when you look at that, you go, you've got all that equity in there. But again, and 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, you were making a 7-8% return on your investment, and now you're making a 4% rate of return. But you're borrowing. If you got to borrow, you're borrowing at 7.5, or 8.
Yep. And we've talked about that. A lot of examples of NoteSchool members who have brought their properties, and their cap rates are way down.
Way down. Yeah, we've got 2 more deals coming on today on Deal Lab today. Same situation. And I tell guys that don't believe us, just believe us, right? But go home, pick one of your rentals, right, and go through the numbers.
Yeah,
it's exactly all right. Of the things, and all the expenses that go along with that. And so having really, what do you have to do when you're the bank versus the landlord, Jim? I mean, what is it you really have to do every month?
Go to the golf course and just wait for that check to come in.
I knew you were going to say something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's way easier for sure. All the taxes, insurance, management, maintenance, HOA, that goes to the buyer. So you don't have to worry about any of that stuff anymore.
It does. And again, you spend about 10 minutes, you look at your account, and see that the money's been wired in there. You don't even have to call it mailbox money anymore, Jim. You just call it, because it's all wired, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have to do any of that. You don't even have to go to the mailbox or the post office, right?
Yep.
So what was, I remember, I think, doing your first deal. Where was your first conversion? Where was from landlord over to bank? Was it one of your Chicago burb houses?
Yeah, that was in the Chicago burbs. Yeah, it was a rental that I had for, at that point, I think 8 or 9 years. And I had an underlying loan on it at 4%. So I ended up selling it for $175,000, got $20,000 down, and I think it was a 9% rate. So my cash flow went up like 75%, something like that.
Your net cash flow, right? Even after an underlying there. Yep. And the reason you felt, and we'll talk about just a second. The reason you felt comfortable doing that is because you were the borrower and you knew how to do that, and you weren't trying to talk somebody else into doing a wrap, and then you got in the middle of that. So,
yeah. And you guys explained it at a few of the deal apps, and I'm like, okay, I can do this. This works.
Exactly. As long as you do it correctly. There are some folks out there that don't do it correctly, but so anyway, enough of that. So you realized that, well, did you miss owning those properties as a landlord? I mean, did you have a hard time going through that emotionally?
No, not at all. Because Chicago is, I mean, a lot of, Chicago has pretty high taxes. So a lot of people have moved. So without new people coming in, the rental price, or the, real estate prices have been kind of flat since I bought it 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's not like I was getting a ton of appreciation anyway. So,
Well, and that's kind of what landlords, if you talk to a landlord about, just sit down, pull out your paperwork from your CPA or your accountant or whatever, because if you're depreciating the value of all of that, you've got those numbers right in front of you and what you're spending. And people just kind of give it a round number, and when they sit down and actually look at it, it's a whole different story. We had in a recent 2-day class we did, we had a lady in that her and her husband probably have 60 or 70 rentals in Texas. And she was, when Eddie was talking about it in the class, she was sitting in the back of the class there, and Eddie noticed she kind of got a little fidgety as she was kind of, and she wasn't paying all. She couldn't wait for the class to be over that day so that she could run home and really run the numbers and where she really was. And she was a guest on NoteSchool TV about a month and a half ago. And she says, you were talking about 4. We really weren't even making a 4% cap, and we knew something was wrong.
yeah.
But we just let it continue to go on. Right.
Yeah. And sometimes the one argument you hear from landlords is, well, I'm not going to get appreciation. And it's like, well, if you look at it, you're getting it now. You're getting it where you can use it now. You're not waiting 10 or 20 years for it.
That's exactly right. A lot of the houses that are rental houses aren't, they've peaked at going up in price. They're older houses. They're nice houses. They're really they're in good areas, but they're not going to go up, 3 or 4 or 5 or 8% a year. They've kind of capped out. But when you're the landlord and you're getting 2 to 2.5 times the monthly income, you go from 800 to 1,600, or you go from 1,000, a month to 2,000. You're getting that appreciation every year, right?
Yeah, and you can enjoy that immediately. You're not waiting.
Yeah. And then, another big problem with that too is that the house did go up in the last 10 years. If it did go up, then what you've got that money is just locked, right?
Yep.
And so how do you get any money out? Right?
Yeah, it's just dead.
You refinance it, but you're paying 7 and making a 4, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So good. So what then attracted you when you saw myself and then Eddie on John and Jeff Watson? Probably everybody knows Jeff, big real estate attorney, really good guy. And then Johnny Cochran, absolutely. He very knowledgeable guy. And so what did you see that kind of sparked that interest and said, I need to check this out?
Yeah, just the whole fact of being able to get cash flow without owning the property. I was like, I have never heard of this before, or maybe didn't understand it. And I thought I need to investigate this a little more, because if this is true, then I have a couple properties that would probably fit for.
Right. Exactly. So when you came to the class, and it was a 3-day class back then, it's a 2-day class now. So you saw that and you said, I got to learn more. So what has the membership that you joined, what has that done for you?
Just being around other people who are in the same space, really, landlords and real estate agents and people buying notes and selling partials and hypothecations. And just like so much knowledge that I wasn't aware of when I was just on the house side versus the paper side,
Right.
So it's just a lot to learn.
It is. And I think what is it? How do you build a house? Well, it's one brick at a time, just right on top of the other. And we talk a lot about the being the landlord versus the bank, and we all love being the bank. But there's so much more. What if you don't have a rental properties, and what do? Well, you buy a note versus buying a house, right?
Yep.
And it's just a totally different mindset. And Jim, I look at you and I feel a little bit sad, because now you've retired from Lockheed, and you're the bank now. So again, what do you do with all that spare time?
I hit a lot of golf balls out of bounds into lakes, into trees.
Yeah.
No, now I'm really going to start focusing on finding other landlords because I know you've been working on a process.
Yes, we have.
Help them make notes out of those properties. So
Yeah.
I need to find some of those people and especially in Colorado, because we've gotten a lot of anti-landlord type laws in the last few years. And so I think a lot of them are like, I'm kind of done with this. I'd rather have a note.
It has, Jim. It's become, I was reading an article the other day. I mean, it's almost like a lot of longtime tenants, they got to take a pass for a while because there was no eviction if you didn't pay. And now that's kind of carried on. And, there's 17 million rental houses in the United States there's about 23 million rental houses in the United States. And about 17 million of those are owned by individuals like you or I, hobbyist landlords. They own anywhere from 2 to maybe 5 or 6 or 10. And they typically manage them themselves because that's just what they do. And then of that 17 million, there's about 11 million of those that are free and clear, right? Which are really pretty easy to transfer over from being a landlord or being a landlord versus being the bank. And it just totally makes sense. But the point I was going to make is most people, if you talk to them, they think it's Blackstone or BlackRock or Innovate that owns all of and it's not. I mean, they own a small piece of the pie, about maybe 10% of the rentals that are out there. So there's a long way to go. And we are putting together programs on how to do that, and how to find these landlords and how to talk to them and, show them there is a different path if they want to take it. Not everybody wants to take it. They love their rentals, and that's okay too. We still love them.
You can have both. You have a few rentals and a few notes.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong. And I think you still do that, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jim, what would you say to somebody who is out there and they want to try something different? What would you say to them about NoteSchool? Why they probably should check it out?
Well, I would say definitely for a landlord, like you're saying, just run the numbers. I mean, look how much more cash flow you could get just having the note versus the property. It's 2 times what you would get from the rental. So the numbers.
I don't want to say it's a no-brainer, right? I don't want to say that, but just check it out. Just run your numbers and see what they really look like.
Takes 5 minutes.
Takes 5 minutes. That's right. And so, Jim, last question. I know your why, but tell us what your why is. Why you've done what you've done, and you worked at Lockheed for 25 years, and you started changing the way you invest and all that. Why did you do all that?
Basically, because I love to travel. I would travel probably every day if I could, if I could afford it. I've been to, I think, 22 countries. Anywhere I haven't been, I'd like to go. So, but that's expensive. So
it is. So what's the highlight? What was 22 countries? What were the top 2?
Norway, probably for just sheer beauty. Cape Town, South Africa was pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
Where else? I liked Copenhagen. That was pretty cool.
Those are, and very safe. Yeah. I was surprised. A friend of mine down in Miami, who's a real estate investor, and he and his family have been spending summers in Cape Town for the last 5 or 6 years. And I'm like, that is a big trip, but they spend their summers in Cape Town. So
16-hour flight, I think it was. That's a long time.
I know, but it's worth it when you get there.
Yeah, exactly. It's beautiful.
Well, Jim, I appreciate, what you've done and how you've always supported NoteSchool and what you do and how you participate in the NoteSchool community. I love the community. I know that you do as well. And that's what you said a minute ago. It's just a lot of like-minded folks who want to do who have the same ideas and ideals and, all of that as well. So I appreciate you, brother. And thanks for coming on today. So final words, anything else?
No, that's about it. I'm out of soap, right?
You're out of soap. That's the Eddie saying. All right, guys. Well, there you have it. Another great story from another great guy, great Note School student. We'd love to see you at a Note School master class here over the next few weeks. I'd make it my New Year's resolution, make an early New Year's resolution to get to a master class to learn more about that. And it's about an hour and a half long. Eddie does those, and you'll really get a lot out of that. And hey, it's free to go, and we'd love to have you in one of those. To find out more about, just go to noteschool.com/TV. We'd love to have you. Just go there, and it'll show you how to register. And in about 30 days, we are going to have, well, it'll be Note Expo. So NoteExpo.com or NoteExpo2025.com. Either of those, learn more about that. We have that every year. This will be our 14th year of doing Note Expo. So check that out. All the movers and shakers in the note business will be there, and we'll have loads of speakers and vendors from all walks, from real estate attorneys and servicing companies and insurance, all of those things that you need to make a successful note business. We appreciate it. We will see you next week. Have a good rest of your week and take care.